Welcome to the Earth Environmental Crisis, Problems, Mitigation, and Adaptation. This is a series of videos on the Earth Environmental Crisis. We're going to be looking at the problems, the several factors or problems in this environmental crisis, such as climate change and associated global warming and sea level rise. We're also going to be looking at tropical deforestation, the extinction of species, as well as looking at other problems such as pollution into the atmosphere and oceans, the huge amounts of plastic pollution that are entering the Earth's oceans. We're also going to look at mitigation, how to reduce as much as possible these environmental problems. For example, shifting the meeting of the Earth's energy demand from fossil fuels such as the burning of coal, oil, and natural gas more and more towards renewable energy such as solar and wind power. And we're also going to look at how to adapt to the global environmental crisis in the years, decades, and century more to come. For example, it is inevitable that the environmental crisis, even with strong mitigation of as much of the problems as possible, will continue in the decades to come and beyond. It will be important to adapt to this change in the environment, such as the sea level rise, with the building of infrastructure in a way that it's further from the ocean coastline, higher up as well, to protect the infrastructure in cities along the coastlines of the world. The fundamental problem that we're going to look at in this global environmental crisis is the growing human population and the demand for energy and also water and food supply. So let's get started with episode 1. In this episode, we're going to look at, for the Earth environmental crisis, problems, mitigation, and adaptation. Episode 1 is the importance of preserving Earth's natural environment. We're going to start with an imaginary voyage. Let's imagine that we're traveling through interstellar space. We're way far from the Earth, very far from the Earth. It's actually even beyond interstellar space. We're traveling through intergalactic space. So we're somewhere hundreds of millions to billions of light years from the Earth in this imaginary voyage. And we see several hundred galaxies in front of us. The point that we're making in this imaginary voyage is that the Earth at this vantage point is insignificant. We can't detect the Earth among all these galaxies. We can't even detect our own solar system for that matter. Neither our own galaxy is probably visible here. So in this imaginary voyage, we're seeing at this vantage point, the Earth is a very insignificant place. It's so lost, so to speak, in this vast, huge universe that we're looking at a small part of it, these hundreds of galaxies in our view. As we get closer to the Earth, we're now about maybe 100,000 miles from 100,000 light years from the Milky Way galaxy. We still don't see the Earth, neither the solar system for that matter. There's a couple spiral bands. Somewhere in those spiral bands, in between those, is probably our Milky Way galaxy. Excuse me, not our Milky Way galaxy, but our solar system in this Milky Way galaxy. But again, from this vantage point, the Earth is insignificant. It is, in this huge vastness of the universe, an insignificant place, at least from this vantage point. But there's a paradox here. As we get closer to the Earth, we're now about 4 billion miles from Earth. We are now in our solar system, about 4 billion miles from Earth, or about 10 billion kilometers from Earth. And we finally see the, quote, pale blue dot. That's our Earth from about the distance of Neptune. You can see the slight bluish color of the Earth's ocean. The Earth is still very insignificant looking, but in this paradox that we're looking at, we're going to see that the Earth starts to take on significance as we get closer. We're now about the distance of from the Earth to about the planet Mars. And we're somewhere around 100 million miles, 250 million kilometers. And we see the moon in the upper right. We see the Earth in the lower left, the blue of the oceans, the white of the clouds. The Earth at this vantage point is more significant. We see that it has the potential for life from a blue ocean and white clouds that probably support some type of at least primitive life, such as organisms and plant life on this planet. But in this imaginary voyage, we still don't know for sure if there's life on the Earth. And the other thing to keep in mind is that even the Earth being a somewhat rare planet, of course, in that it does have actual life on it. It's a rare planet in this universe of ours in that respect, and therefore very significant for that matter. Even if we discover other planets, there have been thousands of planets discovered. They're called exoplanets. They're orbiting around other stars besides our own star, the sun. And these exoplanets have been discovered by astronomers with telescopes and other instruments in the past about 20 years now, thousands of them. And in the next 10 to 20 years or so, astronomers will be able to detect if there are some exoplanets at least that might have an atmosphere, have ocean cover over them, such that they might be supportive of life. We might even detect that there is at least some primitive life on some of these exoplanets, perhaps more advanced life um, on these exoplanets. However, even if that is to come, it will probably be that the Earth and those several exoplanets or so, among many thousands, are probably going to be few and far between the ones that are, habitable in terms of having an atmosphere, an ocean that can sustain life. So in that sense, the Earth is a very significant place still, a rare place in the universe. And as we get closer, we're now about 400,000 kilometers or about 250,000 miles from the Earth. We see the moon's surface in front of us, and we also see the Earth. There it is with the blue ocean, the white clouds, much more clearly visible as we get closer. We're now about the distance of an orbiting satellite above the Earth's surface. We see the green vegetation now evident. We now see in this imaginary voyage that there is some type of at least plant life on the surface of the Earth. There's the blue ocean, the white clouds that are supporting this vegetation or some type of plant life on the Earth's surface. Get closer to the Earth's surface, and we're now about the distance of the International Space Station, and we see, for example, the lights of the New York City metropolitan area. We see the lights of Philadelphia and Baltimore, Washington, the Eastern United States, the Midwest United States, such as Chicago. From this vantage point out, we see that not only is there life on this planet, but there seems to be an intelligent life, one that is able to go ahead and create artificial energy, to create these artificial lights to light up these towns and cities at night. Now we're about 1,000 feet above the Earth's surface, about 300 meters above the Earth's surface. We're seeing the New York City skyline in front of us. We see the engineering of an intelligent life. Of course, us human beings, we see that the engineering capabilities, the technology, the intelligence of us human beings has helped us so that we can develop and build huge buildings such as these, many of them in the New York City skyline. Then we're now seeing that there's a contrast on this Earth, that there's also a lot of vegetation covering the surface of the Earth, a lot of plant life with diverse number of species, plants, animals, insects in these forested areas of the Earth that still cover a substantial part of the surface. So we see now from this close-up, really, coming to the surface of the Earth in this imaginary voyage, that the Earth is very significant. It's an important place. It is one that has a natural environment that is very important to preserve. It's very important to preserve for us human beings, but for all the other diverse number of species on this planet. We need to preserve this natural environment in order to sustain all the life on this planet as it is, and also for our own human species, for us human beings, in order for us to continue to be able to have natural resources and water and food supplies to sustain our ever-growing human population. We see this earth is teeming with life. We see that it has such varied landscapes, the landscape in front of us being of mountains and pine trees in the foreground, other species besides our own human species of insects such as butterflies and birds, and other species, giraffes and zebras. Many, many diverse species of animals are over the land surface of the earth. Other primate species such as orangutans. And this is our own species, the many, many human beings that now populate the earth's surface and have created, as you can see in front of us, huge cities with teeming populations of human beings. Also, we have an ocean that covers the earth's surface, huge ocean cover, the majority of the earth's surface being covered by the ocean. And it's also teeming with marine life, with fish and plant life underneath the surface of the ocean, teeming with other forms of life, more fish covering in this image here, showing the fish teeming in life throughout the earth's ocean. This whale in this image showing that there is a diverse number of species, just a sampling we're looking at of these diverse number of species, both over the land and in the ocean. And here we look again at that image we saw a little earlier of the Earth from about the distance of an orbiting satellite. We see this Earth as a rare place, an important place. Again, this is a planet which is our only home. This is the only home for our species of human beings, and will probably be so for many more decades to come, the only place that we can live on. And even if we were to be able to go ahead and be able to make Mars somewhat habitable for us human beings, a planet not too far from the Earth that has the potential for human beings to be able to live on sometime in the future, the Earth will still be an important and rare place, one that has had life evolve for billions of years, that formed around 4.5 billion years ago, where life has been able to go ahead and develop with a huge number, diverse number of species, including us human beings, one that we depend on for natural resources, for energy, for water and food supplies. So this Earth is a rare and important place, and it is very important to preserve the Earth's natural environment for our time and for many more future generations of human beings and all the other life on the planet. In coming episodes, we're going to look at other factors now in the environmental crisis. We're going to look at these different factors. We're going to look at, for example, in the next episode, the fundamental reasons for global warming and climate change, which is the buildup of greenhouse gases abruptly in the atmosphere due to human industrial and agricultural activity in just the recent past, which is about the last 150 years or so, especially in the last 60 years or so. So the next episode will focus on that, and then we'll continue with future episodes to cover the diverse number of not the diverse number, but the several environmental factors. We're going to look at each of these factors and see them in an overall context. So thank you very much for viewing this video, and I look forward to presenting the next video. Take care now. Bye-bye.